my very first attempt at going online and checking in with everybody and saying hello and hopefully creating maybe some stories or telling some stories or reading some stories or singing some stories. I don't know if we can sing stories. I'll be possibly playing the ukulele at different times. And just checking in because it's very strange that I won't be seeing your lovely smiley faces in the morning, and I shall miss you, and this is my way of checking in and hoping that everybody is okay. I don't know yet how often we will do this, or whether it be once a week or once a day, or what it will be like, because I am learning, and learning is great, and this is me learning a very new thing. So, how about we start today? I'm going to share with you the very first story in a book that I really love. It's a book that I had when I was a little girl, many months ago, and it's a book that my daughter also really loves, but this version is a really beautiful illustrated version, and it's the Milly Molly Mandy storybook. I don't know if you've got this book at home, but one of the great things about this book, which I'm going to show you in a minute, is that it does this. I think this is so cool. Watch this. It does this wonderful story map. And I just love story maps in books. I love to look at where everybody is and think about what happened in these different parts and places in the map. So I love a book that's got a good story map in it. And this is it, like that. So I know if you've got Thomas the Tank Engine books also sometimes have story maps. Stories with pirates in sometimes have story maps, but this is a great story map story. So we'll get started, shall we? So the first story in this collection is called Milly Molly Mandy Goes on Errands. Once upon a time, there was a little girl. She had a mother and a grandpa and a father and a grandma and an uncle and an auntie, and they all lived together in a nice white cottage with a thatched roof. This little girl had short hair and short legs and short frocks which were pink and white striped in summer and red serge in winter. But her name wasn't short at all. Her name was Millicent Margaret Amanda. But father and mother and grandpa and grandma and uncle and auntie couldn't very well call out, Millicent Margaret Amanda, every time they wanted her, so they shortened it to Milly Molly Mandy, which is quite easy to say, Milly Molly Mandy. Now, everybody in the nice white cottage with the thatched roof had some particular job to do, even Milly Molly Mandy. Here is a picture of Milly Molly Mandy and the very famous white cottage with the thatched roof. Can you see this? Father grew vegetables in the big garden by the cottage. Mother cooked the dinners and did the washing. Grandpa took the vegetables to market in his little pony cart. Grandma knitted socks and mittens and nice warm woolies. Uncle kept cows to give them milk and chickens to give them eggs. Auntie sewed frocks and shirts for them and did the sweeping and the dusting. And Milly Molly Mandy, what did she do? Well, Milly Molly Mandy's legs were short, as I've told you, but they were lively and they were just right for running errands. So Milly Molly Mandy was quite busy fetching and carrying things and taking messages. One fine day, Milly Molly Mandy was in the garden playing with Toby the dog, when Father poked his head out from the other side of a big row of beans and said, "Milly Molly Mandy, run down to Mrs. Mogg's cottage and ask her for the trowel he borrowed." Sorry, Mr. Mogg's cottage. "Milly Molly Mandy, run down to Mr. Mogg's cottage and ask for the trowel that he borrowed from me." So Milly Molly Mandy said, "Yes, Father," and she ran off to get her hat. At the kitchen door, Mother was standing with a basket of eggs in her hand, and when she saw Milly Molly Mandy, she said, "Milly Molly Mandy, run down to Mrs. Mogg's and give her these eggs. She's got visitors." So Milly Molly Mandy said, "Yes, Mother," and she took the basket. Trowel for Father, eggs for Mother, she told herself. Then Grandpa came out and said, "Milly Molly Mandy, please get me a ball of string from Mrs. Muggins's shop. Here's a penny." So Milly Molly Mandy said, "Yes, Grandpa," and took the penny, thinking to herself, now, trowel for Father, eggs for Mother, and string for Grandpa. As she passed through the kitchen, Grandma was sitting in her armchair knitting, and she said, "Milly Molly Mandy, will you get me some red wool? Here's a sixpence." So Milly Molly Mandy said, "Yes, Grandma," and took the sixpence. Trowel for Father, eggs for Mother, string for Grandpa, red wool for Grandma. She whispered it over again to herself. Trowel for Father, eggs for Mother, string for Grandpa, red wool for Grandma. As she went into the passage, Uncle came striding up in a hurry. "Oh, Milly Molly Mandy," he said, "run like a good girl, would you, to Mr. Blunt's shop and tell him I'm waiting for the chicken feed he promised to send me." So Milly Molly Mandy said, "Yes, Uncle," and thought to herself, trowel for Father, eggs for Mother, string for Grandpa, red wool for Grandma, chicken feed for Uncle. As she got her hat off the peg, Auntie called from the parlour where she was dusting. "Is that Milly Molly Mandy?" she said. "Will you get me a packet of needles? Here's a penny." So Milly Molly Mandy said, "Yes, Auntie," and she took the penny, thinking to herself, trowel for Father, eggs for Mother, string for Grandpa, red wool for Grandma, chicken feed for Uncle, needles for Auntie. I do hope there won't be anything else." But there was nothing else. So Milly Molly Mandy started out down the path. When she came to the gate, Toby the dog scampered up, looking very, very excited, as though he thought they were going to go for a walk. But Milly Molly Mandy eyed him solemnly and said, "Toby, it's trowel for Father, eggs for Mother, string for Grandpa, red wool for Grandma, chicken feed for Uncle, needles for Auntie. No, Toby, we are not going for a walk now, and you mustn't ask me for anything else. But I promise to take you as soon as I get back." Isn't she good? So she left Toby the dog. Oh, I'll show you the picture. I'll show you Toby the dog. Oh, that's Toby the dog, waiting expectantly. So, 9 minutes. So she left Toby on the other side of the gate and set off down the road with the basket and the pennies and the sixpence. Presently she met a little friend, and the little friend said, "Hello, Milly Molly Mandy, I've got a new seesaw. Do you want to come and have a look at it? Do you want to go with me? But Milly Molly Mandy looked very solemnly at her and said, no, I've got to get trowel for father, eggs for mother, string for grandpa, red wool for grandma, chicken feed for uncle, needles for auntie. No, Susan, I'm far too busy. I cannot come now. I am doing errands. However, I will come and play when I get back, after I've taken Toby for a walk. So Milly Molly Mandy went on her way with the basket and the pennies and the sixpence. Soon she came to Mog's cottage. Please, Mrs. Moggs, can I have a trowel for father? And here are some eggs for mother. Mrs. Moggs was very much obliged indeed for the eggs, and fetched the trowel and a piece of delicious seed cake for Milly Molly Mandy. And Milly Molly Mandy went on her way with the empty basket. Next she came to Mrs. Muggins' shop. Please, Mrs. Muggins, may I have a ball of wool for grandpa and some red wool for grandma? So Mrs. Muggins put the string and the wool into Milly Molly Mandy's basket and took a penny and a sixpence in exchange. So that left Milly Molly Mandy with 1 penny. And Milly Molly Mandy couldn't remember what the penny was for. Sweeties, perhaps, said Mrs. Muggins, glancing at the row of bottles of sweeties on the shelf. No, but Milly Molly Mandy shook her head. No, she said, no. It can't have been chicken feed for uncle, because that wouldn't be more than a penny, only I haven't got to pay for it. It must be sweeties then, said Mrs. Muggins. No, said Milly Molly Mandy, but I'll remember soon. Good morning, Mrs. Muggins. So Milly Molly Mandy went on to Mr. Blunt and gave him uncle's message, and then she sat down on the doorstep and thought about what the penny could have been for. And she couldn't remember. Do you remember? I'm not sure I remember. But then she did remember. It's for Auntie, and I love Auntie. And she thought for a little while longer. Then she suddenly sprang into action, and she went running back to Mrs. Muggins' shop. I've remembered, she said. It's needles I want for Auntie. So Mrs. Muggins put the packet of needles into the basket, and she took the penny, and Milly Molly Mandy set off for home. That's a good little messenger to remember all those things, said Mother when she got home. They were only starting dinner. I thought you were only going for my eggs. She went for my trowel, said Father. She went for my string, said Grandpa. Oh, she went for my wool, said Grandma. She went for chicken feed, said Uncle. She went for needles, said Auntie. Then they all laughed, and Grandpa, feeling in his pocket, said, well, here's another errand for you, Milly Molly Mandy. Go out and get yourself some sweeties. So after dinner, Toby had a nice walk, and Milly Molly Mandy got her sweeties. And then Milly Molly Mandy went and found little friend Susan, and they had a lovely time on the seesaw, chatting and eating lemon drops and feeling very, very happy and contented. I think I'd better show you a photograph of little friend Susan. Here's little friend Susan. And I'm going to show you a photograph of all the things that she remembered. These are the things Milly Molly Mandy remembered. Oh, where are we? There we are. And I'm finally going to show you a picture of Milly Molly Mandy and little friend Susan on the swing. Can I find that? There it is. On the seesaw. I said swing and it's seesaw. Now, Milly Molly Mandy had to remember all of those things. Can you remember what they were? And here's a game that you can play tonight with your family, or tomorrow if you like. It's called Kim's Game. So what you have to do is you get a tray. You get a big tray, or if you haven't got a tray, just find a place on the floor and collect about 12 items, just random items, maybe a pen or maybe a pair of glasses or something, or a book. And you put all of the objects together on the tray or on the floor, and then you cover it over. And you have to take it in turns to see who can remember all of the objects on the tray. If children are younger, you might start with 5 objects. And if they're older, you might try 20 objects. Anyway, that's called Kim's Game. So I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you have a go at Kim's Game, and I'll see you maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But have a good evening. Bye.